The Inner Critic. Author, Nazanin Amiri. Introduction. Every individual encounters their inner critic at some point in life, a voice that incessantly occupies the mind, fostering doubt and hesitation about our abilities and decisions. This inner voice, often manifesting as fear, anxiety, or lack of self-confidence, can easily become a significant barrier to progress and achieving our goals. It may stem from negative perceptions, past experiences, or unidentified fears. But must we always fear this voice, or can we turn it into a tool for growth? This book explores how to engage with your inner critic, harness it for your benefit. Along the way, we will analyze this phenomenon through a scientific lens and draw inspiration from the lives of renowned figures like William Shakespeare and Marie Curie. We will uncover how they overcame self-doubt and rose to monumental success. Additionally, I will share my own experiences to demonstrate how the inner critic can become an ally rather than a hindrance in the journey of growth and self-improvement. The purpose of this book is to guide you in recognizing and managing your inner voice so you can break free from negative thoughts and take confident steps toward achieving your dreams, aspirations. Chapter 1. The Inner Critic. Who is it and why does it exist? As the name suggests, the inner critic is the critical voice that constantly resides within us. Originally designed to protect us from risks and mistakes, this voice often becomes a major obstacle to progress rather than a source of support. It can be rooted in our fears, past experiences, or even societal expectations. At times, this inner voice makes us feel inadequate, doubtful, or afraid to try new things. The inner critic becomes particularly loud during challenging or high-stakes moments, reminding us to avoid perceived risks. However, many of these risks are not real. They are constructs of our imagination. Learning to identify and manage this critical voice is essential. The inner critic manifests itself in various forms. Fear of failure. What if you fail? You always mess things up. Doubt and hesitation. Is this the right path for me? Can I really handle this? Unfair comparisons to others. Why am I not as successful as that actor? Why don't I have the charm of that famous singer? Sound familiar? These voices often stem from distant memories and evolve from a defense mechanism into a destructive mental habit. However, it is essential to realize that this voice can be transformed, managed, and even turned into a source of motivation and growth. Chapter 2. Notable figures who overcame their inner critic. To better understand how to confront the inner critic, let's explore the lives of great individuals who managed to silence these negative voices and achieve remarkable success. 1. William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, one of history's greatest writers, frequently battled doubts and inner fears throughout his life. While crafting his works, he often worried about whether his writings would be accepted or appreciated. Instead of succumbing to these fears, Shakespeare kept writing, and today his works are celebrated as some of the greatest literary achievements in history. By channeling his inner fears into creativity, Shakespeare turned doubt into an opportunity for growth. Marie Curie, the first woman to win a Nobel Prize and the only person to receive it in 2 different scientific fields, faced immense criticism and skepticism at the start of her scientific journey. Many of her colleagues dismissed her abilities due to her gender. Yet, instead of allowing these critiques to deter her, Curie persevered with her research and ultimately became one of the most influential scientists in history. Chapter 3: Practical and Scientific Strategies to Confront the Inner Critic. Although the inner critic is a natural part of the human mind, this does not mean we must accept it unconditionally or allow it to dominate our lives. In this chapter, we will delve into actionable strategies and scientific methods to manage and even utilize the inner critic for personal growth. 1. Identify the inner critic's voice. The first step in addressing the inner critic is accurately identifying its presence. Many of us are unaware of when this critical voice becomes active. These thoughts often emerge subconsciously and automatically. Recognizing them is the first step to shifting your mindset. Once you notice the critic speaking, you can challenge it. For instance, I've given my inner critic a name that reflects its personality. It's like an old, grumpy, and overly critical woman whom I call the narcissistic old lady. Whenever she shows up, I tell her, "No one called for you, and no one needs you. Go back to sleep. I know I am capable, worthy, and lovable, and no matter what you say, I won't listen." Then I immediately refocus on the task at hand. For example, if I was reading, I dive back into the book with full concentration. 2. Practice self-awareness and self-compassion. One of the most effective ways to counter the inner critic is by cultivating self-awareness and self-compassion. Instead of berating yourself for mistakes or shortcomings, treat yourself kindly and accept who you are. This shift in perspective allows you to break free from the harsh judgments imposed by the inner critic and move toward growth and improvement. For example, I often remind myself throughout the day that I am lovable. I practice self-kindness by encouraging myself, rewarding my efforts, prioritizing my health and fitness, and surrounding myself with supportive people who don't fuel unnecessary criticism. 3. Positive visualization. Visualization is a powerful tool for managing negative thoughts. When the inner critic arises, instead of dwelling on failure, imagine yourself achieving great success. This practice builds confidence and diminishes the critic's voice. For instance, I spend a few minutes daily visualizing my goals as already accomplished, immersing myself in the emotions of success. 4. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation are excellent techniques for managing stress and negative thoughts. These practices allow you to observe your thoughts without judgment, creating space between yourself and the inner critic. For example, I dedicate time every morning to meditation. If I've had a challenging day, I meditate again before bedtime, which quiets my inner critic effectively. 5. Reframe failure as growth. Failures and mistakes are essential parts of learning and growth. Instead of viewing them as ultimate defeats, see them as opportunities to improve. This mindset helps you move past your inner critic and view setbacks as necessary steps toward progress. For instance, I see failures as valuable experiences and believe that every failure makes me stronger and wiser. Chapter 4: Personal Experience. How my inner critic fueled my growth. I have struggled with my inner critic numerous times in life. Yes, that narcissistic old lady. This critical voice often made me hesitate, doubt myself, and avoid pursuing things I wanted. However, I learned to challenge these inner criticisms and use them as opportunities to grow and evolve. Today, that narcissistic old lady is so weak and powerless that she barely exists. Her voice has faded, and ironically, she ended up pushing me toward even greater achievements. This personal journey demonstrates that confronting the inner critic and turning it into a growth tool can transform our lives. Rather than fearing this voice, we can leverage it as a catalyst for success and self-improvement. Conclusion. The inner critic will always be part of us, and we cannot eliminate it entirely. However, we can learn to face it and use it to our advantage. These critical voices cannot stop us. On the contrary, if addressed correctly, they can serve as motivators for growth, learning, and success. From the lives of history's greatest figures to our own personal experiences, it becomes clear that we can benefit from the inner critic by recognizing it, challenging it, and ultimately using it to achieve our goals and dreams. By guiding this voice in the right direction, we can become more resilient, self-aware, and confident individuals.